Welcome, welcome, welcome to In the Loop with Lupus in Color, Lupus Live. We are here tonight to speak to another great lupus warrior, Dr. Charisma Atkins. And I am so excited to speak to her and have her speak to you about her journey and then give us some great tips on how to live well beyond lupus. So I don't want to delay this any longer. You guys know I'm learning how to do all this new stuff on a new platform. So we're gonna get it started right now. So let me bring her on up so you all can hear her story and she can give us some great information. Hold on a minute. Oh, that was easy. Yeah, Dr. Charisma Atkins, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I am doing well. I cannot complain. I cannot complain. I'm so excited to have you with us today and talking about what we can do to help ourselves on our lupus journeys, which is so, so important. But
Yes, yes.
I really wanted you to just start by actually just introducing yourself and letting us know who you are and what your journey with lupus has been.
Okay. I am Charisma Atkins, Dr. Atkins, and I am a epidemiologist. I also am an esthetician. And so I understand research, I understand diseases, and I also understand skin and taking care of your skin.
Mm,
I was diagnosed in 2001, January of 2001. And as I look back over like high school, I could see
mm,
symptoms that I had as early as 14, such as cracking all my knuckles, feet, toes,
mm,
hands, wrists, having blue fingertips.
mm.
I just always thought I was cold. Um,
Right,
yeah, I always thought I was cold. And then I found out I had low iron, so I said, okay, that makes sense.
right, right.
And so those were my early symptoms. What happened to me was I was in graduate school getting my master's in public health.
Okay.
I had just finished my comprehensive exams, and I was getting ready to go home for winter break. I was tired the whole time, but my hands were hurting, my joints were hurting, so I was popping Motrin all the time,
Mm,
Motrin 800, and for my cycle, I was using Anaprox. Anaprox is an old
yes.
school cycle drug, right? And so I was just making my way through, that stressful time by using those medications and trying to, get to the end. And I got home, I laid in my bed, I was tired. It was Christmas break. Like I said, I'm young, like 20, 21.
Mhm.
And I was just taking a nap so I can go out later with my friends. I was
Right,
just gonna
right.
take a nap. That nap turned into me waking up in the middle of the night, um,
Mm,
trying to get up, shake the clock, go to the bathroom, and I could not move. I had
mm,
to yell. My brother's room was directly next to mine, so I yelled for him because my parents' rooms were further down the hall.
mhm.
And he came in and he helped me up, but he's screaming, for help from my
Oh,
parents,
yeah.
that something's wrong. The next morning, my dad, who was a medical office visitor, he went to the doctors and everything. So he
Mhm.
took me to his PCP, and I'm wheeled in because I could not walk. I could not stand. I was weak. And he wheeled me in, and as I'm waiting to see the doctor, a running loop, if anybody's been to the doctor's office, a running of pharmaceutical drugs are running. But this time it was a running loop of lupus information. It
Mm.
was like them
Wow.
calling out the symptoms. Do your joints hurt? Are your muscles hurting? Do you feel exhausted? And I'm just sitting in that wheelchair, with my mother, and just nodding. Yep, yep,
Yeah, that's me. Yep. Hmm.
yep, that's me.
Yeah.
So when I got back, he
Hmm.
said he was gonna run tests, and I said, I think I have lupus according to your commercials out there. And he said, well, we'll just run the test. And he did the ANA there, did some more blood work, and went home. He called me that afternoon. He was like, yeah, you tested positive. So
Mm.
I'm sending you to a rheumatologist. And
Wow.
so he sent me to a rheumatologist that next morning. I saw the rheumatologist and he told me everything I needed to know. He said, "You have lupus, you have SLE." And he explained to me what it was. And he said, "You're going to have to take drugs for the rest of your life, but you'll be okay. We caught it very early. You'll be just fine."
Wow.
And so I went home. We went by the pharmacy, picked up all the drugs, and I went home, took the drugs, and by that night, I was fine. I was back up.
Wow.
Yeah, I was back up, and I was happy about it because I was still trying to go out and see my friends.
You still had an appointment.
I still had no plan. I wanted to go see my friends, and so that's what happened. I went back to school. I graduated with my master's that following semester, and I started my career. I started moving around. I moved to Chicago first and then to DC. In DC, I had problems. My Atlanta rheumatologist connected me with George Washington Hospital.
Okay.
And he told me to go to whenever I had an issue, he gave me a rheumatologist. He told me to go to him always, and he was at George Washington.
Hmm.
And my rheumatologist here in Atlanta was at Emory. So they were both, big teaching hospitals that
Hmm.
had access to a lot of experts and scientific research and things.
Right.
So I felt comfortable with that. But I still had, flares because I'm still like within the window of like maybe 5 or 6 years
Right.
of my diagnosis. So I still had these ups and downs. Um, After I left DC, I went to South Florida. I stayed there for a couple of years, and it was there where I found out that my kidneys were impacted.
Mm.
Um, First, I got shingles, which was everybody around me was like very odd. You are 26. Why
Right.
do you
Why you have singles? Right.
um, and I thought, well, I had chickenpox very early. My mom told me I got it like around, they had a chickenpox party, she told me. So I was around 4. So I
Okay.
thought, okay, 20 years, it makes sense. I didn't know that it had anything to do with my autoimmune.
Right.
And so after then, I was working at a health department and we were doing like checks on blood pressure and, normal checks for the community. And we had to do ourselves to make the community feel normal. Well,
Mm.
I got my blood pressure and
Ooh.
it was like 200
Oh my gosh.
over 103.
Ooh.
And so all the nurses around me were like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" I was like, "Yes, I'm fine. I'm fine." They was like, "Are you tired?" I was like, "No." And they were like checking my eyes to make sure I was still there. And one of the nurses who I knew very well, she said, "You need to go to your doctor and find out what's going on
Yeah.
because that is abnormal." So
Mm.
I went to a nephrologist and he did a kidney biopsy. That was in 2006, and he the results came back, and I think they said it was like 3% impacted. So I was still like around 80%.
Okay.
So there goes my lupus, my SLE turned into lupus nephritis. So now
Mm.
I have not only a rheumatologist, but a nephrologist to see on a regular basis.
Right.
Um, and that went well. I didn't have much problems until 2012. I
Mm.
got a fibroid removal surgery, and at the end, they could not wake me up. So one of the medications, I presume, was interfering with the kidneys.
Sure.
And by the time I woke up, I had a nephrologist over me, a rheumatologist, yeah, and somebody else. Oh, a cardiologist
Mm.
and a neurologist.
Wow.
They were all around me. And again, when I wake up, they were like, "How are you feeling?" I was like, "I'm fine. I'm fine." And they were like, no, you're not. Your kidney is at 50%." So it went from that quick from 80 to 50. Um, Started seeing the nephrologist in Atlanta again, and who I love. I've been with him ever since he got out of medical school.
Hmm.
So he knows me in and out. And we just started our journey, and one time it got really low and he got concerned, and I was desperately trying to avoid dialysis because I had members of my family that were on dialysis. I knew what it looked like. I didn't want to be a 30-year-old on dialysis. So
Right.
we tried everything under the sun. And one of those things was Cytoxin.
Okay.
And Cytoxin is a chemotherapy drug, which
Hmm.
I didn't know at the time. Well, I knew it, but I didn't think about the aspects of it.
Right.
Um, and so they were just telling me that, your fertility will be impacted, but more than likely it'll come back because you're young and all of these things and cycle and everything.
Right.
So wanted to I wanted to fix it. And so I did Cytoxin, and sure enough, it worked for some years until COVID. I caught COVID in
Mm.
2021, and there goes my kidney.
Yeah, you
Completely
got a double whammy of autoimmune system issues. Yeah.
completely knocked my kidney functions out. So if that 50% went down to maybe 30% on the Cytoxin, that 30% went down to 10. And then by the time they did the COVID test, because this is at early stages of COVID, it wasn't a rapid test. By the time the results came back, I was at 5%.
Good Lord.
So I had to start dialysis. And I did that from 2021, September 2021 to June 2023. And then in June, I got the call for my transplant.
Mm.
And I was extremely grateful, and everything has been up from there. So I haven't they call me a unicorn because I had no problems after the transplant.
Wow.
Like, I immediately after the transplant, they told you you need to walk a little bit. Well, I walked the whole floor, and they weren't stopping me. They couldn't stop me because I wanted to get out of there. And I walked the whole floor. When they let me go, my kidney functions were very high. And so they felt comfortable letting me go on day 2.
Oh
And from
wow.
there, yeah, from there, I came home. Of course, I rested a little bit, but I walked every day around my neighborhood. Started slowly at first, but eventually I got up to 2 miles a day
Absolutely.
and just started walking. And I think that helped me a lot, just the movement, and not sitting around. And I actually like kicked my parents out my house because I didn't want them to baby me. I wouldn't say kick them out, but they were staying with me to help me
Yeah.
recover. But after a week, I was like, "Hey, y'all can go home. Like, I got this." So that's why they call me a unicorn. And every time I go back, there's there's no like issue. Like, a lot of people still have like throbbing or pain or
Mm.
um, stiffness, or blood tests are up and down.
Right.
I
Right.
didn't have any of that. My
Mm.
blood test always went up, up, and up. It never fell back down. And so that's why they say they call me a unicorn. Like, my office visits are very short.
Right.
And I think it's largely because, like I said, I'm a researcher by nature.
Right.
Um, and so when you tell me something, I'm not gonna I won't take it at face value, but I'm gonna
Yeah.
check. And when you tell me I can't do something, I'm definitely gonna check.
Right.
Um, so when they were in the hospital, when they were telling me to slow down with the walking and lay down, and I was like, no, I had my laptop, and um, because I was in my doctorate program at the time, so I was writing my dissertation when I got the call for the transplant. And
Right.
so I had my laptop in the hospital because I was finishing up my dissertation.
Mm.
And they were trying to get me to put it away, but I was like, no. First, because I got to finish the dissertation, and second, I need to check what you're telling me.
Right.
Um, so
Right.
I always had my laptop. I always had information at my fingertips
Right.
to check and to make sure that I was doing the right thing and that it was the right course for me.
Right. I love how you were so proactive in doing what was right for you, like what you
Mhm.
felt that you needed to do. And
Yeah.
like you said, hindsight is 2020. So you remember being 14 and having some issues. And that
Right.
probably sparked that whole research portion in you, knowing that
Right.
you had those issues early on. And
Right.
I'm just happy that, it was kind of caught kind of quickly, but leading up to your diagnosis, was there something that happened besides you, being in school and that stress could have triggered it up? Was it something that happened that you feel might have triggered it at one point?
No,
Just came
nothing.
out of the blue.
Came out of the blue. In college, so I went from my bachelor's directly to my master's.
Okay.
So, and my bachelor's, it was, 4.5 years, and then summer I was off, and so the fall I started my master's.
Mm.
But I was active in college. I was in the sorority. I was on the president's council. I had my scholarship.
Hmm.
I had internships, so I was very active
Right.
in college. And then when I started my master's program, that's when I started getting into health and being health conscious,
Mm.
because when you're young, you don't think about that. But I started being health conscious. I had a friend who would walk. There was some woods around us, and she would walk, and so I would go walking with her. So that's how I started, being more active.
Right.
But nothing. No one in my family has lupus.
Mm.
No one even had, I asked my dad, like, if somebody on his side, he said he do remember a cousin that he feels like every so often he would get stiff, and they would call it the stiff man's disease. I looked it up. You just stiff. He would just, sit up straight.
Yeah.
And that's the closest thing that we can recall that has happened in the family, but nobody else in my family has had lupus or any remnants of lupus.
Right. 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 That's so it's so interesting because we definitely need to know. Is this not
Oh,
okay?
there you go.
Are we still here, y'all?
Yeah.
You still there? Okay. I'm not sure what's going on with this thing. We definitely need to have that family history somewhat,
Hmm.
and of course, with black men and women, it's hard to trace all of that back. So I'm glad that
Right.
at least we had something to let them know
Hmm.
that it might be something in the gene line.
Right.
So now, after your kidneys kind of failed like so quickly,
Hmm.
how did they attribute that to what was going on in your body? Was it the medication, or it's just that quick that kidney
Just
levels can go down?
it was just that quick. I kind of think I've had bad cycles my whole life. I
You and me
started
both.
off having really bad cycles. And, when you have bad cycles or any cycle period, you're losing blood. And for me, my cycles were very heavy, and they were, 5 to 7 days,
Right.
always. So in my mind, in my research mind, and what I could gather, I feel like the cycle and the such swift excretion of hormones in those 5 or 7 days through the blood, um, that had a little bit to do with it, because with a bad cycle and you are autoimmune, it's recognizing that this is a foreign agent
Right.
and it's attacking. So
Right.
I think that may have had something to do with it. Hence the
Mhm.
reason why my fibroids were extra big. They were huge. I've had 2 fibroid surgeries. So I've had problems with my blood and excretion of hormones majority of my life. Um, no science behind it, but just my rationale of thinking about it.
Sure.
I
Sure.
think that cycle, and on top of me popping Motrins and Advils and Anaprox like nobody's business, attacked my kidney. Now we didn't know that, Advil and those types of drugs were impaction, had an impact on kidneys then. Now we do. And now they do tell warriors, I call us, not to take those drugs, the Advil, ibuprofens, stay with Tylenol only. But back then I was taking them on a regular cycle every 4 hours,
Sure. Yeah,
leading
you needed
my
some relief.
yeah, leading up to the cycle, during the cycle. So I think that large amount of that type of, I forgot what it's called, naproxen.
Mhm.
Those are the that story of the drug. I think taking so many
Hmm.
had something to do with the impaction on my kidney. Um, and
Absolutely.
even after I was impacted, I would say maybe a year after the first time I heard that I was diagnosed, that um I think about a year I still was taking them because my cycles were still very bad.
Right. I think that's definitely something that scientists need to really look at is how that cycle plays a role in that those release of hormones. Because I had a
Mhm.
similar issue where lupus just attacked my ovaries and my uterus, and I daggone near bled out. So
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know, it's just a rolling circle at that point. I'm
yeah.
I'm so excited to hear about how you continue to move as you were dealing with all of these issues because as you know we always promote moving
Mhm.
and and paying attention to your body, which it seems like you do very well. So let's start getting into like the living beyond lupus and the changes that we can make on our lupus journey just to make us feel a little bit better. We know it's not a cure, but we
Mhm.
do know that what we do makes a difference, what we put in our bodies. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so for me, I always had a goal in mind. And as I was telling my story, you see, I was getting my master's at one point. I wanted to get a career at one point. Then I went back and got my doctorate at one point. I got my esthetician license at one point. All of this was a goal to help me deal with lupus. So if my mind was set on the goal, to me, it gave me another focus than lupus. So if I could focus on, my schoolwork and not the lupus, um, and it gave me a sense of, I'm like everyone else. Everyone else is trying to get through school. Everyone else wants their career to pop off. Everyone else is in a doctorate program. So it just helped me to have a goal in mind to keep moving. Now the movement part comes from, as I have to credit my friend from college, who I was just walking with her, but she was a very avid walker, still is to this day, a very avid walker. And she got me moving. But before then, I was kind of active in high school, cheerleading, swim team, stuff like that. But when I got to college, all of that stopped. So the starting to walk was me just trying to be a better woman, knowing that I need to take care of my body. After I had lupus, it just became a um, a testament to what I can do with a chronic disease.
Right.
I did not want to sit and take my medicine and do a woe is me. Hence the reason why I did not tell any of my friends that I had lupus for the first
Mhm.
12 to 15 years.
Wow.
Only my family knew and a couple of really, really close friends.
Right.
But none of like my whole friend group on either side, nobody knew.
Mm.
All they knew is that I would disappear for a couple of days and then I would come back. That's all they knew. Um, but the moving, the working out, it just helped me to again focus on something else. And then the more I did it, I became good at it, and I liked it. The focus was there. So even when I was having a bad day, I might take a day off, but I was right back to it when I felt better.
Right.
So, and it gave me, and then I found out it helped my joints. It strengthened my flexibility. Um, it strengthened my muscles. It elongated my muscles for the type of workouts I was doing, the yoga, the Pilates. I do lift weights, and that helps not only with the lupus, but also with the perimenopause.
Right.
And so you need to lift weights to make sure your muscles are strong and they're not fragile. Um, and the more and more I worked out and the more and more I moved, the the less drugs I were taking.
Mm.
So I went from having, a high number of drugs initially to very well tapering off. Now, so now I'm only on 4, which I'm fine with. I'm not going to complain about it.
Right.
But as we all do, I don't want to be on any,
Of
but
course.
but so the movement just helps me. The yoga helps center me.
Mhm.
Gives me like my meditation time. And Pilates is something just like strengthening your inner core and your inner muscles.
Yeah,
Um,
Pilates is so hard.
yeah. And then I continue to walk. I still walk 2 miles a day, whether it be on the treadmill or outside or the park or wherever I get my walk in. And then again, the lifting weights is like my baby. I love it so much because when I'm in class in the gym, if I can lift weights and someone else can lift weights, I'm good.
Right.
Like, and I go to the classes with young people. I mean, I'm talking about 20, early 30-year-olds.
Mm.
And if I could rock with them, I'm doing okay.
Right, right, right.
And so it doesn't agitate my muscles or my joints. Obviously, I do it in consideration of my body.
Sure.
So if I don't need to push myself past a point, I won't. But it's nice to know that at this age, over 40, 25 years with lupus, I'm still able to do some things that other people are doing. And that gives me immense joy to be able to do that.
Absolutely. And it's so healthy. It's so healthy for your body. The
Mhm.
littlest thing, like walking, the easiest thing that you can ever do, is so good for your body. And it's good for your mental health as well.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly. And
it,
people always ask me, like, what do my doctors think? My doctors encourage me to work out.
right. Keep going. Keep going.
Go on. They encourage me to work out. I been with my current doctors for about 15 years now, and they know me. They've been when I used to run races, when I did CrossFit, when I did basketball. They were always there, and they was like, "Keep going. You're fine. Just keep going. Like if you feel something, stop. But if you
Right.
don't, you
Right.
know,
Just
keep it
listen to
keep
your
it going."
body.
Yes. So
Ab-
I'm happy about being able to move, and I want to inspire other lupus and chronic disease warriors about the benefit of just moving and not um, within range, but not settling into I have a chronic disease and this is what my life is going to be.
Absolutely.
No, you don't have to take it as long as you have breath in your body and you're able to move your limbs and you have the capacity to do it and you're in a good mental state, do it. Try anything. That's why I recommend just try everything and anything and see what sticks.
Right. Right. So along with working out, how do you take care of your mental health? How do you take care of your eating regimen? How do you suggest that people begin to pay attention to these things that make a difference?
I have a strong faith. I have a strong belief in God that's always been on my side.
Hmm.
Whenever I have had down moments, there is a song to come on, a message to come on, a hint, something to let me know that things are going to be all right. And so I do have a life coach and a counselor. My counselor is for trauma, and so once I was going through dialysis, I immediately got a counselor
Absolutely.
because I knew it was going to be trauma, and I wanted to be able to kind of drive the ship while I was in dialysis and being able to hold my own. And then my life coach just helps me with things I want to do, things, my plans, keeps me focused, things
Right.
of that sort. So my I have people around me to help me with my mental health. Um, I have to say I've never been anxious ever.
Okay.
Um, I've never been anxious. Have I been depressed? Yes, I've been depressed. But the anxiety of it, I think, goes back to that first rheumatologist that set me down to tell me exactly what was going to happen. He
Absolutely.
told me exactly what was going to happen. He told me that an organ would be impacted. He said he didn't know which one, but he said the organ would be impacted to get ready. So I always was in a mindset that an organ would happen. Now, through my research, I realized 90% of lupus warriors that are female, 90% of us are going to get kidney impairment. So
Absolutely.
I kind of put that on the radar that, that could possibly happen. And when I got that high blood pressure, then I got a new,
Then you knew.
I knew. So he just set me on a good path to what to be expected. And
That's
so
important.
yeah, I don't think I ever was anxious about anything. Of course, when I was waiting for the transplant, I was like, when it's gonna come, when it's gonna come, when it's gonna come. And I was, seeking out donors and things like that. But it never kept me in the house or kept me from doing things that I wanted to do.
Right.
Um, as long as I had my medicine with me, I was okay. And my parents were only a phone call away at any given point to help.
Especially
Um,
since you were so young at the time when it
right,
happened, you know, so
right,
unexpectedly.
right. So I mean, I think for others coming into it, now I've seen some cases that I don't know how people are able to deal with it. I don't know if myself would be able to. But I think having something to believe in and having a goal that you aspire for, um, I think that can help, not alleviate, but can help diminish and reduce some of the anxiety and some of the stress that you feel. Um, and also having the right doctors, having the right doctors um, that you can talk to, that you can lay your grievances with, and they can hear you and respect you and be on your side and be your agent for your health.
Absolutely.
I think that is important.
Yeah, and just for people to understand that it's so important that you understand that the doctors work for you.
Exactly.
You're not there to just take their orders. You got to be proactive and doing what's right for you and learning, researching like you did. Even
Exactly.
though I think sometimes people are afraid a little bit, what I don't know won't hurt me type of thing.
Yes.
And we definitely have to get out of that mode
Yeah.
of thought. No, what you don't know will hurt you, and you need to find out how to handle it.
Yeah. And I think I tell people all the time when I talk to people, talk to warriors, change your doctor. If it's not working, you don't have to stay with him or
That
her.
part.
You don't have to stay with him or her. Yes, they have your medical records, but getting medical records is a click away
Right, right.
because everybody is online in some type of portal or something. So you don't have to stick with something that's not working for you. And
Exactly.
I advertise that and publicize that a lot because I hear a lot of people saying their doctor doesn't understand them or their doctor put them on these medicines
Right,
and things of that sort. You could change your doctor. I think
right.
that's an important lesson for people to learn.
Yeah,
That,
absolutely. Absolutely. I have some comments here on what's this, Instagram.
okay.
Um, Davion, I think I'm saying that right. He says that he's a male with lupus and he wanted to know what type of medications we're taking.
I'm on a low dose prednisone,
Mhm.
2.5, um, Plaquenil, and I've been on that from the beginning, from the very beginning. So it's been 25 years on that. Cellcept for the kidneys,
Mhm.
and I've transplant medicine. I forgot the name. Something. Um,
Something, right? I love it.
I forgot. It's Tema something, but it's for transplant. It's anti-rejection medicine.
Right, right.
So, and then the other things I take are just what everybody else's take: multivitamin,
Mhm.
vitamin D, um, vitamin B,
Right.
um, and that's it.
Yeah, all the things to keep you healthy beyond lupus as well.
Right, right,
You
right.
know, the medications just help us to live comfortably as we
Yeah,
deal with the issues, right?
right, right.
Someone says the food Snoop says stress for sure can bring it on, and her cycles were painful from the start, not heavy but painful.
Mhm.
And with such a high percentage of lupus being women, hormones for sure are a contributing factor. Well, we know that for sure.
Right,
We
right.
know that for
Know
sure.
that. Yeah.
And then it's messed up because I'm at the menopausal age, so
Mhm.
it's like you don't know whether you coming or going, whether it's lupus or menopause. You can't
Yeah,
take hormones. Lord have mercy.
Yeah, that's what I talk about with my friends. We all like in that, in that circle now. And they were like, their brain fog. I was like, brain fog. I've had this since I was 27 years old. I was like, I've had like, so I can't tell if if it's gotten worse or better or what,
Or if it's the same or
it's the same. I've had since I was 27 years old. I've had brain
right,
fog.
right.
So, yeah, but yeah, it all. I think it does all play a part of it. And getting back to the food, I eat whatever I want to eat. Um, because it's within moderation.
That's
And
right.
I do take into consideration because I am trying to lose weight in this perimenopause phase, which is
Mhm.
extremely hard. Um, I do take into consideration about protein and vegetables and starches and things like that. But I pretty much eat what I want to eat. Um, if I want pizza, I'll have pizza. If I want ice cream, I'll have ice cream. I try to keep it healthy Monday through Friday. Um, I have my calorie counter, my pad, all
Right.
of that stuff. So I do that, and the only thing I don't eat really is pork.
Okay.
That's the one thing I don't eat is pork, with the exception of bacon because I love bacon.
Because everybody says bacon's not pork, so
Exception of bacon. Um, but other than that, I eat all the green vegetables.
Mhm.
Um, I do kind of stick to the kidney diet,
Mm.
meaning that I don't do a whole lot of whole grains,
Okay. Mm.
because whole grains are hard to digest, and hard to break down. So a lot of my things are white bread, white rice.
Mm.
Um, I, I don't eat cereal anymore, and I think I just kind of grew out of cereal.
Yeah.
I just think it's nothing, no rule against it. I just think I just grew out of it.
Right.
Um, but everything else, oatmeal.
Hmm.
I'm I'm happy to be off dialysis so I can have avocados because when you're on dialysis, you cannot have avocados.
Why
Can't
is
have
that?
avocados have a high, what did they tell me? It's a high potassium food. So when you're on dialysis, you can't have high potassium food. So that's your French fries, your
Mm.
avocado, your bananas, um, all of the tomatoes, can't have
Hmm.
tomatoes.
Mm.
So I haven't I didn't do that while I was on dialysis. And on dialysis, you can't drink a whole lot of fluid.
Fluid. Right.
You have to keep it to like I think under 64 ounces a day of
I mean,
all fluid.
I'm so happy that you're going through that, that you went through that and let us know that because I think a lot of times we get caught up in these diets and these fads, and it creates more issues than we should really
Yeah,
have sometimes. And sometimes we just need to eat what we feel our body is good
right,
for our body and
right.
what's
Well,
healthy.
my nephrologist, like I said, who's been with me from the beginning, when the kidney started really go bad, he said, "Listen, all that keto, low carb
Stop it.
BS, don't do it."
Hmm.
So he told me point blank, he was like, "Don't do it. What you're gonna be on is a kidney, a renal diet." And he gave me the paperwork for it, and that's what I've been on probably since 2013, just that renal diet. Um, and then other modifications I just made because I'm getting older. The dairy, can't have much of that. Even the ice cream, that's like very sporadic.
Right.
I have some this weekend, and that was the first time all year I've had ice cream.
And you're still paying for it, aren't you?
So no, I'm not. I'm actually not lactose.
Good, good.
I found that out. I was like, thank God, I don't need nothing else. Um,
Right.
I
No
don't need
extra
nothing else.
nothing.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah, but I eat whatever I feel like my body needs. So
Yeah. Awesome.
that's something.
That's awesome. I'm glad that you went through that. I'm really glad that you went through all of that and what you can eat, what you cannot eat, how
Yeah.
that
Oh, and
affects.
oranges too. Oranges are no on
Yeah,
dialysis.
oranges should be banned anyway. There's so much acid in it, and oh my
Yeah,
goodness, this is
yeah.
very difficult. On YouTube, Leslie says she's glad that you came through,
Thank
and
you, Leslie.
And then Kimberly said that Aleve and Ava were her friends.
Me too.
Yeah. And we don't think, like you said, when we were younger, we don't think about all that. We just be popping them and keep it going. But for
Yeah,
everybody else, now that we're getting a little older, we have to really realize how those things have affected our bodies.
right.
So, awesome, awesome. So I know that you said I want to be respectful of your time. We've been on here for about 45 minutes.
Oh, that's
And
fine.
I do want to talk a little bit about you being an esthetician and how that works with lupus and
Yeah,
how you can help people that way.
yeah. So for those that don't know, one of the major signs of lupus is the butterfly rash.
Mhm.
And when I was diagnosed with lupus, they told me about the butterfly rash. Mind you, I'm 20, 21 years old. Very vain, very, very vain. And I did not want the butterfly rash.
Right.
So when I found time from my career, I decided to go to aesthetic school because I just wanted to learn about skin more and what I could do to prevent the butterfly rash. That
Wow.
was my whole goal.
Wow.
So
Hey, that worked. It worked.
yeah, that's what I wanted. I wanted to know about the prevention of the butterfly rash. But then as I got into it and, this, being a minority, we don't do spas a whole lot. Like not back then. Now we're picking it back up, but back then we didn't. And so one of my very first spa uh, sessions, they gave me the form to fill out, and it listed all these things of what you couldn't have in order to get a service. And right in the middle was lupus.
Wow.
And I asked the lady, and she said, "Oh, we don't feel comfortable. Our license, da 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 da." So I went back to school and I told them, and they were like, "Yeah, that's correct because normally lupus people have sensitive skin and thinner skin because of the emote of the hormones and things." So I said, "Okay." So I got out of school, got my first job, and I was um, focused on treating chronic disease patients.
Mhm.
And when I worked there, they would ask me, and of course, it was on their list as well. Um, they were asking me, what did I feel about treating chronic patients? Because obviously it's a revenue for them because they were coming in to get massages, but they could not do anything. And
Mhm.
so they looked to me to treat the patients. So I got a lot of cancer patients, I got a lot of thyroid patients,
Wow.
um, and then I started getting kidney patients, a lot. And so I started treating them and realized it's the same treatment. It's
Mhm.
just in how the manner of services that you do and the products that you use. That's the only difference. And also like some of the regimens that lupus patients use or can use is a little bit more minuscule than someone else. So, for instance, if you want a chemical pill, you would have to do a very thorough consultation, and lupus patients or the warriors should not be getting some of these heavy duty pills,
Mhm.
especially if they have the butterfly rash. Now, you can get a pill. I do pills all the time. Um, but you just want to stay away from some of these more abrasive peels,
Mhm.
where they say it's peeling off your face, or people come out all red and things like that. You
Right.
want to stay, kind of neutral in your pills. You can get vitamin pills, of course. You can get antioxidant pills. You can get anti-aging pills, but just don't want to do the stringent. So
Right.
that's something that warriors need to know. Like when you're going in, and a lot of people, a lot of us, and I know I used to do it as well. I just want Mark Lewis. I wouldn't, and so I would get the services, and I felt something was too much. I would stop. Um,
Right.
but so that's my goal. That's how I got in skincare. I wanted chronic disease patients to know that they can be loved on and they can be cherished and they can get those special services for Mother's Day and anniversary and all those things, just like anyone else. with precautions and maybe go to the right esthetician.
Right.
And so that's a lot of my population are chronic disease patients, whether it be breast cancer, uh, thyroid,
Mhm.
Crohn's, lupus, kidney disease, all of that. So
But
that's how.
I love how you said that. You can still have those things. You just have to modify it. And that's what our life has become, modifying the things that we want to do so that we can still have that euphoric feeling.
Right. And that goes with everything, how you travel, how you
Hmm.
work out, how you eat,
Yeah.
how you have fun, everything. It's just different, a different range that you have to use, but that's okay. You're still here. You still fighting the fight. You still going, live your life, but just be cognizant of what you need to do.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. Whew, that's some good stuff you done gave us. You done gave us some good nuggets. I'm not gonna lie. I love it. I love it.
Oh, I'm happy for that.
Yeah, your story is compelling, and everything that you have done and are still doing for the chronic illness community is just amazing. And I'm so proud
Yeah.
of you. I'm so proud of you.
Yeah.
So amazing. So amazing. So I have one last question for you, and then I'm going to let you go on with your evening. It's getting a little late.
Okay.
Um, if you can give lupus warriors three pieces of advice, what would they be?
Okay. Um, Find the right doctor for
Mhm.
you. Number two would be live your life.
Mm.
Don't let lupus become your be all end all and dwell in that. Live your life.
Mm.
And three is keep moving.
Right?
Keep moving.
Say that again for the people in the back.
Keep moving. Keep moving.
Absolutely.
That is what you want to do. And when we say move, I mean move everything. Move in life. If you want a job, go for that job. If you want to go on a trip, go on that trip.
Right.
Um, if you want to, buy a house, buy that house, right? So you have to just keep moving. Um,
Absolutely.
and that's why I've decided to spend my profile and my environment, my atmosphere on the idea of moving and moving to keep moving.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Where can people find you on social media?
Sure, I am at Simply Charisma on all platforms. Facebook is just my name, Dr. Charisma, and TikTok, Instagram, and what else? Yeah, TikTok and Instagram, Simply Charisma. I also go by CY Atkins. That's my personal page.
Okay.
But all lupus health items are on the Simply Charisma.
Awesome. Awesome. I'm so excited to have been able to talk to you. I know we've been chit chatting back and forth with you a long time. So I'm so
Yeah,
happy to
yeah,
finally talk to you and get your story out there and let people know what you're doing. It's so important.
yeah. And I'm in the Atlanta metro area. So if
All right, y'all
anybody's in
hear
the
that?
Atlanta metro,
See, I'm gonna have to come see you when I come out that way. Give
yeah,
give me a nice little stuff going on there.
yeah, 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 yeah,
So
yeah.
I
So if
so
you,
appreciate you. I so appreciate you agreeing to come on today and sharing your information and sharing your story. So thank you so much.
thank you.
All right.
Have a good night.
All right. You too. Amazing, 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 guys. Thank you so much to Charisma, Dr. Atkins, for speaking with us today. Her story is so compelling, and everything that she's doing with the chronic illness community is so important. So, thank you everybody for tuning in. I so appreciate you all. Join us tomorrow as we are on Instagram with World Sees Normal, or better known as my better half of the Chronic Courage podcast, Amber Blackburn. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Make sure you share this with a friend and make sure you return to it so that you can get the nuggets that was left. Thanks everyone. Have a great night.